Well, hello there, and welcome to another episode of Scouting 5, recapping scouting news from around the world for the week of April 25th, 2022. I'm Scouter Ken, and this week I'm recording from Vancouver, British Columbia. Well, let's lead off with a development from the Boy Scouts of America bankruptcy case, still ongoing. This one comes to us via the Insurance Journal, quoting them. The judge presiding over the Boy Scouts of America bankruptcy has approved the organization's request to sell its warehouse and distribution center in North Carolina for roughly $13.5 million and then lease back the property from the buyer. The BSA wants to use some of the proceeds from the sale approved by the court Friday as part of its contribution to a proposed $2.6 billion fund to compensate tens of thousands of men who claim they were abused as children while involved in scouting. After a month-long trial, Judge Lori Sieber Silverstein continues to weigh whether to approve the Boy Scouts reorganization plan. This reorganization plan calls for the BSA and its 250 local councils, along with settling insurance companies and troop-sponsoring organizations, to contribute the aforementioned $2.6 billion in cash and property to a fund for abuse victims. In return, those entities would be released from further liability, meaning they could not be sued for Scout-related abuse claims. At Friday's hearing, Silverstein noted that the findings that the BSA and its plan proponents are asking her to make in confirming the plan present her with issues that she has never personally faced as a bankruptcy judge. Quoting her directly now, quite frankly, probably none of my previous rulings in 8 years really dealt with this particular type of issue where there are such extensive findings that people are asking me to make and where the findings are particularly controversial. When an attorney representing the group of insurers opposed the plan noted that the BSA had filed hundreds of pages of documents in the early hours of Friday morning with plan modifications and revisions, the judge assured him that he would have time to review and respond to them before making her ruling. So I have to wonder if that's maybe a tactic that we're going to see a little bit more often from the Boy Scouts, wherein they sell off a property and recoup the funds from the property, but then they sell it to an entity that is willing to allow them to continue to lease the property for its prior to sale usage. Similar to what we did here, like even in Canada, not in because we were being sued, but just, this is a way that Scouts Canada has been looking to and has already actually offloaded some of its properties. Ernest Pool Scout Camp in Alberta comes to mind. It was sold to the LDS and they continue to use it as a youth camp for their own youth program, but then the Scouts are able to essentially use the camp as well. It's not a leasing arrangement, but we do have an agreement in place with them that we get, a special rate for using the camp. So I wonder if we might see more of that going forward from BSA as well. Because it does kind of nicely straddle the line between, having to maybe sell off properties to come up with money that they have to contribute to this fund. But then at the same time, they're not completely losing the property either. They're still able to use it, still able to use it for the purpose they were using it before it was sold. It's just that now it's held by a third party. And speaking of scouting properties, some bad news for Girl Scouts near Rogersville, Montana, quoting ky3.com. A fire damaged 2 buildings at a Girl Scouts of the Missouri Heartland camp near Rogersville. And sorry, I must have mispronounced, or I must have misrecognized the state acronym. It is apparently Missouri, not Montana. I'm Canadian, and I apologize. Returning to the article. The fire happened at the Finbrook Program Center. Firefighters say the fire started Tuesday afternoon after an ember from a burn pile landed on the pavilion. The campground is set to host a leaders' retreat this weekend as it kicks off its summer activity season. No word on whether that is going to be continuing at the property. And returning to the Boy Scouts of America for another story and more legal trouble, though thankfully not pertaining to the abuse of Scouts, but still, no one wants a lawsuit, I suppose. Quoting the Connecticut Examiner, an avid birder and supporter of the preservation of Deer Lake filed suit in Middlesex Superior Court yesterday. This story was published a couple days ago now. Against the Connecticut Yankee Council of the Boy Scouts of America, stating that the bird sanctuary on the property must be protected and that the council has received substantial charitable donations for maintenance of the refuge since 2011. According to the suit, the council received donations from the New Haven ornithologist and philanthropist Richard English in 1985 to establish an eponymous bird sanctuary on a 255-acre property located at 101 Paper Mill Road in Killingworth. According to the suit, after the founder's death in 2011, the Richard L. English Fund continued to make donations to the council amounting to approximately $100,000 annually. The council is considering a $4.6 million offer for the property from Margaret Stryker, CEO of Fortitude Capital LLC, a New York-based developer, who is also a board member of the council. The offer was based on a fair market value appraisal of $3.7 to $4.2 million. The council previously rejected an offer of $2.4 million from the Trust for Public Land, based on its assessment of the property at $2 to $2.4 million valuation. The trust's bylaws prevented from bidding above the trust's assessment of the property. In early April, the council also rejected an undisclosed offer from Pathfinders, a local nonprofit. The deadline for receiving bids is May 1st, pushed forward from March 31st after Attorney General William Tong began investigations of the transaction. The council put the property on the market in the fall of 2021. The Boy Scouts, by the way, purchased the property in 1959. And finishing up with a little bit of Canadian content, some news out of Kimberley, British Columbia, quoting the Kimberley Bulletin. The Kimberley Scouts are pleased to announce that after a 2-year break, they will once again be offering third-party rentals of Camp Stone this summer. The camp has been used by community members for over 40 years as a place for weddings, company picnics, and family reunions. Camp Stone rentals can please contact 250-427-7640 beginning May 2nd at 9 a.m. The Kimberley Scouts are also pleased to announce that they are coming back strong after taking a break for the pandemic. The group is looking forward to growing again next year. After leasing Camp Stone to Scouts Canada for many years, Tech Cominco donated it entirely in June of 2001, when their Sullivan Mine was closing. The agreement established with Scouts Canada stipulates that it can be used for recreational purposes and is not to be sold for at least 80 years. And that is all the news I have for you this week. Thank you again for listening, and until next time, be prepared.